Greetings, everyone. We're the Beattys, and this is just another day at the office. And today, we have some Royal Wulffs that are going to New Zealand to tie, and they are supersize. Greetings. We're the Beattys. Yep, from Boise, Idaho. Gretchen's over there sizing hackle right now, as you'll be able to see here in just a moment. And I'm getting ready to move over to materials, talk about them for just a moment, because there we go. Got the material camera that I want going. Tying a size Royal Wulff, a size 4 Royal Wulff. The hair down here that we normally use for our Royal Wulffs is just too doggone short. What we end up doing is working our way forward on the tail till we get way up here. The stuff we normally use for streamers and stuff like that is what we're going to have to use today to tie our number 4 Royal Wulffs. Now I'll just set that aside for a minute. And here's a tail that I've used everything out of it except for the tip. And so I'll be using these longer fibers on this table. And I'm also using this one because the animal was harvested in the summertime rather than the winter. This is from winter, and you can see how much fuller the hair is all the way out to the tip even. And this one is summer, and so it's a little bit, not quite as heavy a hair. And there's a much less under fur, if any at all, as you get out towards the tip here. We'll be using moose for the tail. Now let me get back over here to the cameras. And I'm going to switch so that both Gretchen and I are on camera together. There we are. Gretchen's sizing hackle right at the moment. And
that's like
coming up with size 4 hackle with today's genetic hackle is also a challenge, but it's one of the challenges that we have to face.
This is a really good cape though that we got from Whiting. And you said it was a Hebert.
It's a Hebert and Hoffman cross. Hebert and Whiting cross.
Yeah, Hebert and Whiting cross, and it has a little bigger size of hackle on it, so I was able to take it. And then the way we got this is we got it with this. I don't know if you can see that or not, but we got
you
that.
Want to hand it over here, and I'll go to the wide shot camera.
Yeah, show them that side stuff because I think that's got some potential in some of those Carrie Stevens streamers we want to do.
Yeah, we want to do some Carrie Stevens streamers, but see, this is we know Whiting really well. The folks at Whiting used to work there, and this is a cape right straight from the drying room before it's trimmed. And as you can see, we have a lot of stuff here on the side. That's what Gretchen is referring to. And there's also the stuff over here that often gets trimmed off. Well, that's some pretty good sized hackle, nice and spiky. So Gretchen.
Now that stuff was about a 2. I had to go more into, I'm going more into the center of it is where I'm finding the force. So right in,
something happened. You set your coffee in front of the camera.
Oh, my coffee is in the way.
There you go.
That's much better, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
So I'm going right here into the center of the cape to get my 4s.
And I'm getting on a size 4.
But I am so excited about this stuff in the sides for our Carrie Stevens. This just looks like some really cool stuff, don't you think?
I think it's got some potential for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to play with that someday.
I'm putting a size 4 in there.
And then I went through and found some of our peacock because I want some fairly fluffy, good peacock curls. And some of this up here by the eye is where I'm going to find the more fluffy stuff. This one was I had a friend whose brother had peacocks and she would go pick the feathers up off the ground for me. Well, when you do it that way, lots of times some of this stuff down lower gets kind of damaged. So the stuff on the bottom of this isn't very good, but up here by the eye, it's got some real potential. That was a great opportunity to get all that.
But not only finding materials for a size 4 is a challenge, but my God, I'm starting to the thread on this hook And it's like trying to tie a fly on a freight train. Oh my gosh.
Here's this hook I was playing with. It looks like it's magnetic.
Yeah, it probably is. I'll set it aside and use it here in a minute.
So now I can drink my coffee while he gets a fly to me. He's tying the tails and the wings on while I drink coffee, and then I'll get started on the rest of it.
Yeah, this fly has got an interesting history because I can tell you what, here in the U.S., we do not fish size 2 and 4 Royal Wulffs. It just doesn't happen. But I was at a fly fishing show in the late 80s. It was late 80s or early 90s.
It was the early 90s.
Was it? Okay.
Because I was around then.
Okay. The early 90s. And we met a guide from New Zealand. His name was Hugh. We won't go into last names. Don't have permission to use his name. But his name was Hugh. And he was asking if we could tie him a large Royal Wulff. He'd like to try it for his guide service there in New Zealand. And we said, okay, great. We tied a couple there at the show, gave them to him, sent him on his way with a business card and figuring that was the end of it. Well, back in those days, we got letters, real letters in the mail, and we had phone calls. Well, a phone call from New Zealand to the US was pretty spendy. So anyway, we had a letter show up in the mail with a cashier's check to tie some size 4 Royal Wulffs and send them to him there in New Zealand because they worked really well of all the crazy places in a lake for lake fishing. I thought, oh my gosh. Anyway, so we tied him a few and sent them. Well, it became a yearly event for several years. It hasn't happened much of late. I think it's been probably 6-8 years since we've sent any to New Zealand to Hugh. But earlier this week, while shoveling snow, I'm off camera for a moment here, getting some calf tail. But while shoveling snow, a neighbor walked by. And in the course of our conversation, I already knew he was a fly fisher. In fact, here in Idaho, we probably have more neighbors who fly fish than we have that don't fly fish. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. He said his church was sending his wife and himself to New Zealand for 18 months on a mission. And I said, oh, you poor person. I am so sad for you that you have to go to New Zealand. Anyway, I told him about these Royal Wulffs. Anyway, long story short, I promised to tie him a few. We're not taking on a lot of new customers right now, but Mike is a friend, neighbor type, and we're going to send him off to New Zealand with a few size 4 Royal Wulffs.
You know, we just have never tried Royal Wulffs that size here. Maybe we should go to a lake and try some big ones.
Okay. You're not having to convince me. Getting rid of some of this short
What
stuff.
about Hebgen?
Oh, Jesus, that sounds wonderful. Yeah, those gulpers on the really small mayflies. I wonder what they'd think of a Royal Wulff out there. Maybe you'd chase them into the next county.
Or maybe even on Quake Lake.
There you go.
Remember those big browns that were in that
yeah.
upper part of Quake?
Oh, yeah, I do. Okay, I'm going to cut this off flat across the top.
We had a couple of, when we lived in Bozeman, a couple of outings on Quake Lake. And the guys that take their float tubes out there. And there's still some trees sticking up from, when
It's been so many years since we were there. I'm sure the trees are probably still sticking up there.
Because of course there were trees when the earthquake happened and formed that lake. And the big old browns just hung out there.
I think that quake actually happened in the late 50s, didn't it? It was like 58 or something like that.
No. You were in Sandpoint, weren't you?
I don't remember.
It's more recent than that.
Okay. Getting it confused with something else. Well, anyway, let me get this tied off.
Because remember that woman in your writing group?
Oh, that's right. Okay.
he had a woman in his riding
It
group
was
that he went to that
the
who lost her whole family in that
Idaho
quake.
Riders League. Yeah, she had gone up to they were camped there at what wasn't Quake Lake then. It was they were camped there at the campground down in the canyon, and she went up to the road to go to the laundromat. And anyway, that was the end of her family. Here you go, dear. You can finish that fly, get it in your vise, and I'll get started on the next one here. But interesting how things happened. Here we are tying size 4 Royal Wulff. Any of you out there listening in, why don't you try some size 4 Royal Wulffs? We'd love to hear from you. The email address, let's see, I think I can go over here to there, and let me go to here. Okay, there's email address at the top right-hand side of the screen, lbd2@gmail.com. But anyway, we'd love to hear from you. And now let's get back to side-by-side tying.
I'm going to use 2 peacock curls to.
You what, one in back, one in front?
No, I tied them on together.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Well, explain what you're doing then.
I'm taking 2 of them and tying them on here on the back. I can take fewer wraps and get the same volume if I have 2 on there at the same time. The trick is keeping them from separating, and they do want to separate. These 2, I'm fighting these 2. But if I kind of halfway twist as they come around, that kind of keeps them together. Oh, see, that looks nice and fluffy. Look at that one. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, usually these big ones like that, it's tough to find a fly to use them on because, well, I mean, if you try to put a peacock that size on a Royal Wulff on a size 14, it's just going to be way oversized. Anyway.
Oh, look at this. Is this cool or what?
Oh my God, does that show up good or?
Oh, I've got the wing on that last.
That looks good. Did I get the wing in your way there?
No, I just caught. I do every once in a while. I just kind of grabbed it with my materials unintentionally.
Well, I'm off camera
boy,
for a
I'm
minute.
liking the way that looks.
Let me take a look here. Oh, Jesus. That does
That's-
look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sure does. Yes.
And I'm going to bring this is about stretchy nylon stretch is what it's actually called, from Danville. And for a fly this size, it's perfect. I'll switch to my black thread now.
Yeah, you can thank Gretchen for nylon stretch and uni stretch, or nylon, what is it, flex nylon or stretching?
It's stretched nylon and I don't know what
and uni is Uniflex or something like that. But anyway, Gretchen found that when we first moved to Bozeman in the Bernina sewing store, that particular product. We just fell in love with it. But the problem was it was made for the sewing industry, not the fly fishing industry. And the colors were not exactly what we needed. So we started bugging Danville. We said, this is some great stuff. We really need to have it on spools and dyed to your colors. And they said, yeah, okay. Well, anyway, 5 years later, they finally got around to dyeing the stuff and coming out with a product. And now Uni and Danville both offer it. It is absolutely the best floss body material that you can do if you're production tying. If you're doing a full dress Atlantic salmon, you probably want to do the standard process. But for turning out production tying, nice, smooth, flat bodies, this is the stuff.
Can make a really nice, smooth underbody, with your base wrap with it too, because it just spreads and goes on so smooth. No twists at all.
Just standing this wing up, a couple of tight wraps and then a loop around the hook to anchor it in place. You see how that is. It's nice and straight, while the other wing has had nothing done to it.
You know, I didn't.
Now we'll pull it up with a couple of wraps around the base.
I didn't take enough off of this. It's still too. These are like number 2s at the base. These hackles, so I have to strip them down a little bit to get into the 4. So, and I was too busy talking and wasn't paying attention. And that was going on just too long, and I didn't like the looks of it at all.
There we go. I had a couple of wild hairs
There
that I
we
didn't want to
go.
get with the program. All right, that looks pretty good. I'll pass this. I'll set this over here by the TV remote. Gretchen's right there by your vise.
Got it. Okay. I
We
think
just decided to
could
get
be
these knocked
better.
out this morning. This afternoon, we have to get ready for the Beattys fly tying Friday, and there's several things that we need to do for that. But this morning we could work on books. Ooh, God, that's just an awful thought. Or we could tie a few flies. Well, what do you think we chose?
You mean our business books?
Huh? No, we were working on QuickBooks.
Oh, yeah, our business books.
Yeah, the one of the things about having a business in fly tying or anything, there's a thing called taxes and books and all the kinds of things that any other business has. Well, fly tying is no different. It's a business. It brings money in so that you can afford to live the wonderful life that we live at the vise and on the water. Okay, I'll get I've got a white one there. I don't really want that. Get rid of that. I sprayed everything down with static guard, but boy, it's already starting to stick. It's about it's a cold December day, and it's about, I don't know, 18 to 20 degrees outside right now, and the static electricity really builds up when it's dry and cold. At least it does here in our neck of the woods. Don't know about where you live. We've got friends who live in more humid climates, and they don't have to deal with static electricity like we do. But
I tied those both back on the back, which makes the hackle get smaller as you get towards the front of the fly. And I'm not real happy with that. So the next one I will tie one on the front and wrap it back and then tie one forward. And I'll show you how to do that. That way all the hackle looks the same length from front to back.
I want you to notice that I took this bundle of hair right out of there, which is really close to the tip. It's that long stuff. Normally we use this for streamer wings because it's good for a smaller streamer wing rather than bucktail. But the size of these Royal Wulff rings on these size 4 are bigger than what we normally use a calf tail for. So we get up towards the tip end to use that here.
Well, I'm not real excited about the hackle on this one, but it'll work. These are fishing flies after all. But I'm going to do it different. I don't know if you can see that, but where's that little thing?
What you looking for, dear?
The little thing that we hold that has the green background.
Right here.
I think they can see it better than my red shirt. I probably should have put a different shirt on, but yeah, there we go. Now you can see the fly better. As you can see, my hackle is longer back here, and it gets shorter as I go towards the eye. So what I'm going to do is, I'll show you what I'm going to do. I mean, you can see it with my red shirt, but I'm sure not as clear.
Yeah, that green does seem to, I don't know,
Yeah,
it
it's
seems to work.
crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference.
Well, anyway, now I'm dividing my wings. And I want you to notice that I'll turn the fly on its side so you can see what I'm doing. But rather than doing like this so you can see it better, the way we really tie wings when we're production tying is it stays right there. I take the near side and pull down and the far side and pull back. And you can divide it just as easily that way. You don't need to be switching the vise around. I'll make a couple of wraps in between my wings. And now I'm going to go around the offside wing first. And we call that posting the wings. Several snug turns around the bottom, not real tight. And now I'm going to just really pull down hard and tight and anchor that to the hook shank. It's kind of like a tent rope and a tent stake. And that's how that works. Now we're going to go around and around the near side bundle. And I'm just tight enough to kind of pull them together. And now I go across the body of the fly or the hook shank, pull that tight so it's in position so that you can see we've got divided wings. Now those wings are a little bit far apart to my way of thinking, so I'll crisscross between them a couple of times just to kind of snug them up a little bit, and then I'll wrap forward and throw a whip finish in to finish it. Okay, I'll do one more and then we're going to turn this off. I think you guys are kind of getting the idea of what we do to tie a fly.
Well, I want to do that tackle different before you turn it off.
Okay, well, I got another one to tie anyway. Here's another fly for you right there. I can tell you what's interesting is that getting really large standard dry fly hooks is not as easy now as it once was. It's anyway.
You mean in the larger sizes or dry
Larger
fly?
sizes. I mean, just take a look at what's available for TMC or Dairiki or whatever, and they usually start at about size 8 and get smaller. Well, finding 2s and 4s, we had to go back to some old Mustad hooks. This is a box of Mustad 94 840 size 4 that I've had for 30 years. Made in Norway, it says. So anyway, set that down.
Okay, now I'm tying a hackle on the back here, like I regularly do. And then I'm going to come forward. I don't do this technique very often, so I have to kind of work my way through the first one to kind of remember what I do. It's not the fastest way to tie hackle, but it is a problem-solving way to tie. Okay, I'm going to tie this one on right here.
I tied that hair on there, really tight turns right here in the middle, and then tight turns right there. And then as I work towards the back of the hook, I relax the turns only slightly. I just enough so it doesn't flare the hair, but it still holds the flare on top of the hair on top of the hook.
Okay, I'm going to start tying this.
And I'll take my last
Take
bundle
my
off of
first
this
wrap
section
there.
of tail.
Get several turns here. My way back.
Okay, there we go.
I'm going to tie that off. Clip off the end. Now I'm going to squiggle my thread forward to get up here by the eye. Now we'll bring this one back. I don't like. There we go.
This really long stuff normally doesn't make good dry fly wings at all, but when you're tying them in as long as these are, it seems to work pretty good. But boy, there is absolutely zero flare to this part of the calf tail. It's well, it's pretty dense. It's right out on the end of the tail. It is. It's that way on bucktail as well. You'll find the really dense, non-flaring type bucktail out towards the end, and when it gets closer to where it attaches to the animal's body, it has a bit more hollowness, if you will, and flare. Build up a thread dam in front. Did you show what you wanted to show on the hackle, Gretch?
Yeah, I did. Look at it. What do you think?
Oh, I think that looks great.
That looks better, doesn't it?
That looks really good. Yeah, I like that. Yep.
Does take more time.
You know,
but this is a small order, so.
Yeah, we're only sending a dozen to New Zealand with this fellow. If he wants more, well, he can order them. He's got 18 months down there. He's not even sure just how much he's going to get to fish. He's on a 18-month mission for his church, and that could mean that he's working 24/7, or it could mean he gets some time off. I mean, I can't believe that any fly fisher worth the salt, no matter what the religion, wouldn't find a little bit of time to wet a line if you went to New Zealand. I mean, come on. Yeah, he was wondering about taking fly rods, and he said, I don't think I can take fly rods. It's not part of the stuff that's going to be allowed. And I said, don't worry about it. Every fly shop in the world any fly shop in the world will rent you a fly rod, no problem. Okay, well, that's it for today, unless you've got something, Gretch.
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, well, we got a bunch more of these to do, but I mean, come on, after a while, you get really tired of seeing us do the same darn thing over and over, because most jobs are the same thing over and over. Think about a welder, for an example. They draw that same bead down between the same two pieces of steel thousands of times a year. Well, we do the same thing with wraps of thread, and other jobs do that as well. Even a doctor. Well, taken out of an appendix on one person is probably not too dissimilar from another. Anyway, enough for all that stuff. Let's do a wrap. And that's it for now. We usually use this one for the Friday night, which is on tonight, by the way. But for now, that's a wrap.